Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services here this morning, we would kindly ask everyone to please turn off or silence all electronic devices. Thank you.
In Israel, there are two major bodies of water. One is the Sea of Galilee, the Kinneret, a beautiful freshwater lake filled with fish and surrounded by lush foliage. People come to swim and enjoy the refreshing water. The Kinneret gets its water from the Jordan River, which has its source in the northern hills. The Jordan River then continues to send its sparkling sweet waters further south into a second sea. In the second body of water, there are no fish that can swim in the water. Vegetation cannot grow on the shore, and no one can drink from the water. How can these two bodies of water be so different? The Jordan River flows through both of these seas, and yet while both of these bodies of water are in Israel, they are so opposites. So what is the difference about the nature of these two seas? The Kinneret receives water from the Jordan River and then sends that water onward. A drop of water comes into it and a drop of water goes out. It receives and gives in equal measure. But the second body of water receives but does not release any of the water that enters it. It keeps whatever it gets. It gives nothing to others. In English, we call it the Dead Sea, for the salty waters prevent any life in or around the water. These two bodies of water, the Kinneret and the Dead Sea, can be compared to two types of people. There are individuals who are extremely self-centered. They are always want to receive, but are never willing to do the same for others. And then there are individuals whose hearts are like the gently flowing waters of the Kinneret, who receive and give. Their sweet and caring personalities help those who are near them flourish in success and in happiness. Alice Greenberg lived a life similar to the waters of the Kinneret, a person who enjoyed giving to others, who loved her family and made connections and friendships with others. Today we remember and we treasure those memories that we have shared with Alice Greenberg. Alice Greenberg will be remembered by her daughter, Sharon, and with Bennett, and her grandchildren, Justin and Karina, Garrett, Nevin, and Lauren. And of course, her great-grandchildren, Liam and Mia. And today, as we remember the life of Alice, we also recall the memory of her son, Andy, and her beloved husband of 63 years, Cal. My name is Rabbi Sam Hollander, and on behalf of myself and the clergy of Congregation Bethel, joined here today with our senior rabbi, Rabbi David Englander, as well as condolences from Rabbi Aaron Krupnik and Chazan Aliza Pomerantz-Burrow, we are with you at this time. At this time, I want to call upon Rabbi Englander to begin our service with the chanting of Psalms.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Rabbi Hollander, for taking on the sacred task of shepherding this beautiful family through these moments of loss and the aftermath of the onset of grief. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Sharon and Bennett's longstanding, decades-long connection to a relationship with Congregation Bethel, and I know that there have been better moments than this one, where you have gathered to affirm celebratory moments, and please God, they were raised through your connection to our embracing community, just as it embraces you now, as you say, final loving earthly goodbye to your honored mother, Alice Greenberg. Her memory is and will be a great blessing. For many years, really for centuries, if not millennia, we have turned to the same psalm in these moments. Psalm 23 talks about the Gate Samavet, the valley of the shadow, which has been interpreted for many, many years as the valley of the shadow of death. What does it mean? You've entered into a darker space. We know that these days pass with difficulty and sadness following loss, even after a long and meaningful life. Judaism posits what I think is an essential human truth. Loss is sad. And to compare the journey of the mourner to the walk through a valley that is cast in shadow is one that accurately represents this necessary but also unwelcome pathway. So maybe you'll listen for it or hear it in the Hebrew as I read that from the Tanakh, from the Bible, from the book of Psalms. It is, of course, Psalm 23. It will be followed in its translation. Mizmor LeDavid. Adonai roi lo echsar. Bino teshe yar bitzeni al mei menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni v'magleit tzedek lema'an shemo gam ki elech begeit samavet. Lo irara ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishantecha hema yinachamuni. Ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sorai dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi rivaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai Vishavti beveit Adonai, Vishavti beveit Adonai, leorech yamim. A Psalm of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me to lie down in green pastures and leads me beside the still waters. God restores my soul and guides me in straight paths for God's name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Honor to call on Bennett to share some reflections this time.
Sharon and I and our family would like to thank everybody for coming. So this is my second version. I wrote a new one yesterday after my wife decided to change things up, and then I changed it back. When Alice gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Alice was a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, an aunt, a sister, and my mother-in-law. I might add, my favorite mother-in-law. And I, of course, was her favorite son-in-law. She and Sharon did not always see eye to eye, but in the end, they respected each other and were always able to make up. I would sometimes have to referee them. She and my father-in-law, Calvin, led a simple but good life. The rabbi will go into more detail about her life, so I'm not going to repeat it. She was not one to hide her feelings, nor was she one to tell us how she felt about, nor was she shy about telling us how she felt about something. To say I grew closer to her and my father-in-law is an understatement, especially the 4 years they lived with us in Cherry Hill. In the 7+ years that she lived at Care One, we must have changed out her bed 4 times. I don't mean the bed sheets, I mean the actual bed. Each time she would complain that the new bed was uncomfortable and that she didn't sleep well in each of them. But the truth, I realized, was that she didn't sleep well in each of the beds, because she didn't want to mess up her hair. So she would sleep upright or in an awkward position, just so that her hair would look good when she woke up in the morning, when she went down for breakfast. And when she was in my office for me to work on her, I would always tell her, now, Mom, now is the time that I can wire your mouth shut. She would just say to me, okay, funny guy. Alice and I had a love-hate relationship. She would love to hate me, but I wouldn't let her. How could she hate her favorite son-in-law? For instance, I would always try to make her laugh, even if she was arguing. I told her that her second set of eyebrows, which she would always draw above her own, made her look like she was always surprised. 90 years is something to be proud of, a full life, and we'll miss you, Mom.
Thank you, Bennett. Just a few weeks ago, Jewish communities around the world began reading the second book of the Torah, called Exodus, or in Hebrew, Shemot. As English speakers, we are familiar with the English title, the book of Exodus, as this is the book that tells the story of the Israelites enslaved in Egypt and their exodus from Egypt to freedom. But the Hebrew name Shemot is significant. Shemot means names. The book begins, Ve'ela Shemot B'nai Yisrael, these are the names of the sons of Yisrael, and proceeds to list the names of the sons of Jacob, of Yisrael. The Torah continues by saying that Joseph died, and all of his brothers, and all of that generation. This was a significant moment in Jewish history, as the generation linking us to our patriarchs and our matriarchs, and the stories in the book of Genesis had ended. Thankfully, this was not the end of the story of our people, as the Israelites grew in great number in Egypt, but then the Torah adds to the story that a new king arose over Egypt that did not know Joseph. Let me begin by acknowledging this moment, that with the passing of Alice Greenberg, your mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, marks the end of a generation. Alice was the youngest of 5 siblings, the last remaining person of her generation, the last living parents and grandparents in your family. Like the beginning words of Shemot, the book of Exodus, we find ourselves at a moment of transition as we say goodbye to the generation that came before us. But unlike Pharaoh, who did not know Joseph, I don't think Alice Greenberg will ever be forgotten. With her signature pieces of jewelry and her hair, as mentioned, that was just always right, she made a lasting impression on others. In particular, I learned that she made quite an impact on the lives of her fellow residents and staff at Care One. And to Alice's beloved family, at this moment, you may be feeling as if you are missing a piece of a puzzle. After living almost 91 years on this earth, none of us know life without her. Since her passing, we already feel her absence in our lives. Yet today, instead of mourning her physical absence, we gather today to appreciate the impact she made on our lives and how she was that puzzle piece that completed us, that made us whole. Today, we do not mourn a missing piece lost forever, but rather celebrate the completion of a finished puzzle. Alice loved many things. She enjoyed watching game shows and NCIS, doing puzzle books, arts and crafts, collecting knickknacks. She loved candy. And yes, she also enjoyed puzzles. I admire anyone who has the patience and persistence to complete a 1,000-piece puzzle. Perhaps it was Alice's long professional career as a secretary that taught her to be very organized and meticulous. She was also patient, taking 2 buses and a trolley just to get to work. While some people, upon completing a puzzle, might enjoy the completed puzzle for some time, and then take apart that puzzle piece by piece, returning the puzzle pieces back to the box. Well, Alice was someone who appreciated her accomplishment It would take Maj Paj to glue the completed puzzle together and frame her work for all to enjoy. Today, we, the family and friends of Alice Greenberg, gather here today not to begin to take apart a completed puzzle, but instead to Maj Paj the memories that we have shared with her, so that her memory will always remain a completed puzzle framed for all to see. Garrett, as you shared with me the other day, you feel blessed to have had your grandmother as part of your life for 35 years. What a blessing. And I know you and Nevin will always miss or think about her whenever you go to Duncan, thinking of your grandparents and those special times together. And Nevin, I know that you will miss the ability to talk to her and have comfortable conversations about life. And I'm sure that you'll always smile whenever you see a Mustang on the road, reminding you of that time that your grandparents drove with you in your Mustang to get pizza, only for your grandmother to get stuck in the back seats for over 20 minutes. And how wonderful it is that you, Lauren, also had a special relationship with her. And I know that you will miss visiting her at Care One for all those special holiday celebrations. And of course, how proud Alice was to be a great-grandmother to both Liam and to Mia. Bennett, as you shared about your special relationship with your favorite mother-in-law, I know that you will miss the banter of kidding back and forth with your mother-in-law. And Sharon, I know that you will miss hearing your mom call you Sharoni Macaroni. As long as you continue to speak about her and to share her memories, Alice will never be forgotten and will remain forever with you. May we all continue to live our lives, carrying on the teachings and memories of Alice Greenberg, Simcha Bat Albert Veroz. Yehi Zichra Baruch, may her memory endure for a blessing, and let us all say, Amen. At this time, we'll rise in body or in spirits for the recitation of the memorial prayer.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamitzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Ashchina, B'ma'alot Kedoshim Uteorim, Gezor Haraki Amaz Hirim et Nishmat, Simcha Bat Albert Viroz, Shelcha Le'olama, Began Eden Tehe Menuchata, Ana Bal Harachamim, Hasira Beseter Kenafecha Le'olamim, Utzror Bitzra Chayim et Nishmata, Adonai Hunachlata, Vitanuach Bishalom Al Mishkava, Vinomar Amen.
El Malei Rachamim, exalted compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Alice Greenberg, Simcha Bat Albert Veroz, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace, and let us all say, Amen. At this time, you may be seated. Following this service, interments will follow at Shalom Memorial Park, which is located at 25 Byberry Road in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania. Shiva will be held at the home of Sharon and Bennett Shanker at 6 Pilton Drive in Medford, with visitation following interment today and a Shiva Minyan at 6:30 p.m., as well as tomorrow, Monday, January 19th, with visitation from 2 to 5 p.m. and 6 to 9 p.m. with a Shiva Minyan at 6:30 p.m.